How many dental schools do you need to apply to in order to get accepted to dental school? Let's find out. So let's talk about how many dental schools I applied to personally. It probably goes without saying, but the amount of dental schools that I applied to does not mean that that is the standard for dental schools that everyone applies to. But just to start off, I applied to 10 schools when I was applying to dental school. If you want to check out my stats, then check out the link to the previous video that I'll put in the description. But based off of what I had done and what was on my application, I felt that it was only important to really apply to 10 schools. Applying to dental school and going through the application process is pretty expensive. I put down a couple $1,000s just to do the application and do interviews and everything like that. So that is something to consider as well when it comes to how many dental schools you should apply to, is how much do you want to spend? You want to spend as little as possible, but if you feel that your chances on getting accepted to dental school are pretty low, if your stats aren't really that good, but you feel like this is kind of your last option, there's some students that I've known that have applied to 15 or even 20 dental schools, and some of them have only gotten accepted to one school. Some of them didn't get accepted to any, and so that's why it's really important to make sure your stats are high, but that's a different story. Now, let's also talk about what's the average. How many dental schools is typical for a student to apply to? I have known 4.0 students that have gotten literally a 25 on the DAT that have applied to 5 schools and they got accepted to every single school. I've also known some crazy students that have applied to only 2 schools and they got accepted to both schools. Those are like the unicorn students that just aren't real. So I don't know where they come from, but sometimes they show up. Anyway, normally though, I would say 10 to 12 schools. That's probably pretty normal. You're pretty safe with 10 to 12 schools if you have pretty good stats. Like I said, with my stats, I applied to 10 schools. I ended up getting interviews to all of them. I only went to 6 of those interviews because I didn't want to spend that much money, and I had already narrowed down the schools that I really wanted. And out of those 6 interviews, I got 2 acceptances and 4 wait lists. So keep that in mind also. So another thing that's important as well that you need to keep in mind when you're applying to dental schools, the dental schools that you apply to, you should pick a few schools that you really want to go to, but it's kind of a little bit of a stretch. Pick ones that are well within your range, the ones that based off of the ADEA's catalog for acceptances and the statistics for students that get accepted, check to see what the stats are for that entering class, for last year's entering class for those schools. If the stats for those students who entered last year into that specific school are right within your range, then yeah, I'd apply to that school. And also, some schools will have even lower stats, and so be sure to have a couple of those in your list as well. The last thing you want to do is go through a whole year of application and not get accepted. It's okay to have a whole bunch of schools that you're applying to, but you also don't want to break the bank, so there's really a fine medium. Another thing that you should also consider is, depending on the school that you're going to, there's some dental schools that a lot of students will apply to at your specific school for your undergrad. So talk to some of the other pre-dental students that you're studying with and ask them what schools they've applied to, and just get involved with the pre-dental community that's in the area that's at your school, so that you can find out what schools you should really apply to. So I think that's really about all. If you have any other questions, or if there's something that I missed, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'd love to answer some of those questions if I didn't cover it. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Keep living the dream.